one more drink of water. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. And this is a study session. So the first item on the agenda is Iowa Primary Care Association. And Sara,
Yes.
is that you?
Yes.
You want to come up and introduce yourself? And
And I brought our senior lead system navigator with me
okay.
to talk about the only service that we provide direct service for. So.
I'm sorry, I'm doing it.
Alright, so I am Sara Berndt. I am the district lead for Iowa Primary Care for District 6. And with me I have,
Jim Stevenson, I'm senior lead navigator for District.
and then on our sheet, we have 3 system navigators currently working in District 6, Michelle Dunn, Allison Phillips, and Ellie Decker. And Michelle Dunn is in Lee County, Allison Phillips is in Washington County, and Ellie Decker serves Benton County. So our navigators are nicely spread throughout our district, so we have good coverage that way. This is just our senior leadership team. I won't go over that, but that's in your packet so you know who that is.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Jason, how you want her to turn this way?
Can you face the microphone and not off to the side,
Sure.
please? Sorry.
Not a
There you
problem. All right. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, next one. So we just want to talk about IOPCA's role in behavioral health, understanding the need for system navigation, real-world examples, accessing system navigation pathways. I want to talk a little bit about our district advisory council, our district assessment key themes, and then if you have any questions or discussion. So on July 1st of 2025, Iowa Primary Care started doing the work as the behavioral health service organization for the state of Iowa. The purpose was to streamline access to services and ensure consistent care across the state of Iowa. And the goal was to make it easier for Iowans to get the help that they needed no matter where they go for help and for support. And then what we have now is an organization that is an overarching state organization that then supports the 7 districts throughout the state. So what we wanted to do again was create consistent pathways for accessing services and then build and expand services across the continuum of care, which Iowa Primary Care works in for the behavioral health unit, which is the safety net services of prevention, early intervention, treatment, recovery, and I'm losing my last one. Treatment, recovering, and crisis, recovery, treatment, early intervention, and prevention. So, with the next one. So Iowa Primary Care became in existence as a nonprofit in 1988. They came into existence to serve the community health centers across the state. And so when I thought of Iowa Primary Care bidding to be the Behavioral Health Administrative Service Organization, I looked a little bit deeper, and then my understanding was that they, in that role, have supported the safety net services for medical services across the state, and those services also included behavioral health services. They also support medications and oral health. So again, we are divided into 7 districts, and at the local level, your folks that you will interact with are the district leader, which is the role that I hold, our behavioral health system navigators, and then Jim Stevenson, our senior system navigator. So one of the things that the Behavioral Health Administrative Organization was to do was to streamline administrative burden. And one of the ways that we significantly did that is in the old system, there was about 350 to 400 contracts that were executed between the regions and the different provider entities. Now we have 128 contracts that we execute across the state providers. And those contracts cover areas of unique programs such as co-responder models, where we have a behavioral health professional who responds with a trained law enforcement officer to 911 crisis calls. That is in different parts of the state. We also have a service in the jails that provides medication prescribing and then medications for detainees who are in the county jails with behavioral health needs. And I believe Flow State is the organization that serves the Jefferson County Jail for that service. We also have school-based behavioral health services where Hazel Health and Classroom Clinic support school districts who invite telehealth counselors in to see students. And the nice thing about that is it helps families not have to take time away from school and from work, and finding childcare for children left at home, and avoids sometimes the travel that comes with trying to access behavioral health in rural Iowa. And so that nice addition also can carry through the summer months as long as the student has access to a computer and the internet. Then we also have integrated provider network funds that comes through the state of Iowa to Iowa Primary Care Association. And what that does is that supports the substance use disorder services across the state. And that grant is called the Substance Abuse Prevention, Treatment, and Recovery Services Grant. And what that does is it provides access funding to get folks to treatment, and then it also provides funding for folks who are uninsured, underinsured, or are in a certain poverty guideline range. We also have the funds for the Tobacco Community Partnership that pass through us. We have our funding goes for crisis services, and your crisis services come through Southern Iowa Mental Health Center and the CCBHC services there. We also continue to support peer-operated organizations, which in Fairfield, Jefferson County comes through Optimay Life Services. We have community mental health center block grants, a couple of community mental health center block grants that pass through us for the community mental health centers here in our district. So there's about 3 of those. And then there is a special project, it's called Assistance in Transition from Homelessness, which is called PATH, and that supports individuals who are trying to go from homelessness to stable housing. We don't have anything down here. The closest access to that service is up in the Cedar Rapids area. I'll let you skip that one.
What are the, you mentioned community mental health, where are those?
So Southern Iowa Mental Health Center in Ottumwa is in our district, and then we also have Abbey Center, who is a community mental health center in our district, and I can't remember where the third one was, but we definitely have those 2 who support our communities in the north and south. In our district, we have 3 counties that are not served by a CCBHC, which is a certified community behavioral health center. All right.
And Jefferson County being one of those?
Jefferson County is covered by, Jefferson County is covered by Southern Iowa Mental Health Center.
Okay. And how, sorry
No,
for
go
those
ahead.
questions. I thought it was Optimay that helps at our jails.
Yes, it is. So we've got contracts with Southern Iowa Mental Health Center and Optimay,
Okay,
doing different support services for our communities.
gotcha, okay.
And are you associated with Flow State then?
So we contract with the services for
Okay.
Flow State. So Iowa Primary Care funds those, and then the jails chose who they wanted to work with for those services.
Okay, and then how do people, I guess, some of the services that you've mentioned, sounds like there are obviously, you contract with people so they can access the services through the individual contractors. Are there any ways that people like contact you guys directly to get access to services?
That's what we're gonna hand it off to Jim for.
Okay,
That's me. I'm Jim Stevenson. I'm the senior lead system navigator. I hope you can hear me. He's not yelling, so he got, yeah, okay. So I'm in charge of all the system navigators. So the navigator, well, for our district, the navigators, you're gonna click, thank you, appreciate it. They're the ones that are on the ground answering the phones, finding the resources for any of the clients that call in. So what your question was is that's what System Navigator does. So the reason kind of why we came into existence as System Navigators is the system can be pretty convoluted and difficult to manage if you don't know what you're doing already. So you add into that, if someone is going through a mental health crisis, knowing who to call, when to call, what to ask, and all that fun stuff is just can be overwhelming. And so a lot of people will just give up. If you're also dealing with a stigma-based substance use is one that comes to my mind. I used to be a substance use counselor, so that comes to my mind. And there's stigma associated with that. And so a lot of times people are like, well, I'm not even gonna bother, they're not gonna help me anyway. And so we try to overcome that. by doing the navigation. You know, they can be complex and a little overwhelming for people, so we try to simplify that where we can. Go ahead. Oh, see, tricky.
There you go.
There we go. One of the ways we do it, the primary way, is to partner with Your Life Iowa. Your Life Iowa is a 24/7 phone line. They also have a website. There's many ways to get a hold of them. They are counselors 24/7. And what they do is when someone calls, they will put them through a screening process to make sure that they're not going in a crisis, that they're not trying to commit suicide or threatening to commit suicide, or they're not, in danger in any way to themselves or other people. If they're not, then they get to a system navigator. If they are, then Your Life Iowa gets them the help they need right then and there. Because
Is that 988?
Part of 988, yes.
Part of 988.
Okay.
Yes, but Your Life Iowa also has a website and their own phone number that you can call without going through 988. So we collaborate with them, and we ensure consistent service for every Iowan that calls. They get through the same process, the same everything. And if they need to talk to a navigator, then they get routed to us. Okay, go ahead. So things we don't do, tiny print, here we go. We provide extensive information, education, and guidance. Of course, I could just read my own. If I get to it. There we go. And there we go. So I'll read it off the screen. We offer application assistance for services. So if you've ever tried to fill out an application on your cell phone because you don't have Wi-Fi and you don't have a home computer and you might be homeless, it's near impossible. And so we have computers and we can do it over the phone with the clients. So if they need signed up for Medicaid, we can do that for them. So identify options for overcoming barriers and access. So we find out what they need. What is the issue that's keeping them from getting the help they need already? And we try to overcome those. So if it's I don't have Medicaid, we get them signed up for Medicaid. If it's I don't qualify for Medicaid, then we look for those places that have the SEPTERS grant or have a sliding fee scale. So we look for those places that they can get to overcome the barriers that exist. We support during key transitions. So if someone's getting out of jail or getting out of rehab and maybe they lost their home while they were there, we can help them find some realtor options to get into and find a new home or get signed up for the PATH network if they're going to be homeless. And we provide referrals and warm handoffs to appropriate providers and long-term services. So we are not a long-term service. So we get people connected to the resources they need. Those are the long-term services that we connect them to. So things we don't do, which I think are just as important. We do not provide treatment. We do not prescribe medications. We do not provide counseling, and we are not a crisis service. Now, if we get a call from a client and it turns into a crisis, we will handle that right then and there and get them the services they need. But our primary function is not crisis service. So with Your Life Iowa, there's many ways to get a hold of them. The 800 number, 8111. You can text them if you don't want to talk to anybody, or you can chat with them online if that's what you'd like to do. And this is for the general public, either clients, supporters, caregivers, whoever, concerned citizen, if they want to call and find some resources for someone, they can do it. And going through Your Life Iowa is the way we recommend them do to make sure they're not in a crisis. So what they need to get dealt with is dealt with first. Okay. For providers and partners like hospitals and law enforcement, doctors, disability access points, the Dept, if they need some resources from us, we do not require them to go through Your Life Iowa and get screened. We're going to assume they're not in a crisis, or that if they did, they knew who to call, and so they would contact us directly with that number, 515-505-8988. So you only have to hit what district you would like to talk to, and in our area, we're District 6. So you just put in number 6, and then you get a hold of a system navigator. And so they can either refer a client to us, do a warm handoff, or they can go ahead and just ask us the questions they need and give that information to their clients if they want. Yes,
When was this system put in place? This new
July 1st of last year.
July 1st of 2025?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And can you tell us briefly what it replaced?
This one will probably help you a little better.
System navigation.
What did it replace?
The entire system.
The entire system replaced the regional system that was in existence before, and that was in existence for about 14 years. That went from a county system to a region system, and then it went to the district system. So what we did in that transition is we kept things stable state. So whatever contracts were in place with providers prior to July 1st, those contracts continued after to July 1st. So that folks would not see any disruption in the services that they were receiving or the access to those services.
Thank you.
Do you know how many clients you serve in Jefferson County?
So we are working on that. We don't have that information yet. The last conversation that I was involved in is about a month or two away. So the goal is to break that down by county so that we know how many calls came in per county. We know what those calls were per county, and then we know what those calls were dispatched to. So if they needed mental health services, then we can identify what services they were referred to. And if we had trouble making that connection, we can also gather that data. If, for example, we tried to refer and that provider had a wait list, or for some reason they could not accept that referral, then we document that too. So I'm very excited when that gets released to be able to give detail at the local level for everybody.
Elizabeth and I were on a call today. And there was another gal who said she was doing similar things to this. So I'm a little confused about how, or is that
Southeast
duplication?
Iowa Mental Health.
Correct.
That's where she was from?
Yeah.
That gal?
Uh,
Okay.
And is that one of your someone you have contracts with, or?
Correct. So Southern Iowa Mental Health has care coordinators,
Yeah.
and that is their CCBHC service. It's a care coordinator. It's similar to what we do. One of the big differences is that they can go into the community to, they can go into jails, they can go into congregate apartment sites, they can meet folks in the community. And Jim will talk a little bit here in a couple of minutes about how we go into the community. So there are different places doing similar things, different places doing different things. It was HHS's goal to have System Navigated launched through the Behavioral Health Administrative Service Organization, along with the other access points that there are.
So you guys are not associated with Southern Iowa Mental Health.
Not our system navigation services. Those are the services that we deliver through Iowa Primary Care Association on a statewide level.
Okay.
So Southern Iowa Mental Health, they're available to the community, but their focus typically is on the counties that they serve.
Do you have a physical presence in Jefferson County?
Not yet, but I'm waiting on applications. So with this will give you, it leads right in, this QR code will take you to our website and show you where all our system navigators are housed on site in a physical space, an office building. So if we have clients that don't want to talk on the phone, they don't want to chat, they want to meet someone face to face, then we have that. Our navigators will have an office space for 2 days out of the week. Otherwise, they work at home on the phone. And so, but when they're in there, we can only place them within a 30-minute, 45-minute area away from where their home base is. And so I am limited by who applies and how I can get them hired. And then once I get them hired, then I can find a location.
Ultimately, you'll have something here in Jefferson County where they'll be open 2 days a week, is that what you're saying?
That would be nice if I could get some applications, get people hired.
Up to 2 days a week, maybe
2 days a week.
I see, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
How do you guys manage? I mean, because just from my experience, so many people they don't have phones. Their phone numbers keep changing. Like it's spotty at best that they have access to phones. How do you guys address that issue?
Well, it can be difficult when the phone numbers change. That's why we also rely on email. Usually the emails will last if they can get to it.
Yeah.
Or text message if their phone, if they can do that. The main problem that I've run into more often is the phone will run out of minutes and she can't talk to them for a while, but when they get more minutes on there, then you can contact them. Yeah, otherwise you use email and they can usually get to that a little easier.
And that's the other reason why we want to share this widely. So if they do come in contact with somebody who is familiar with it, then they can go, oh, hey, let's sit down and give a call to System Navigator. And if that individual is working with a System Navigator, they will have that direct contact information, so they would be able to reach back out to their System Navigator directly once they've traveled the Your Life Iowa path.
Yep, go ahead, next slide. Okay, so what sets us up a little different is we hire system experts. So people who are from or have experience in the behavioral health field already, we know how to talk apples to apples with providers. Those are the people we hire, and that's what we're looking for. And so when a client calls and they get through Your Life Iowa and they get attached to a system navigator, the system navigator is going to be their primary contact. And that primary contact understands the system. We know where to go and sign up for Medicaid. We know how long it takes. We know the forms. We know if you need a substance use, say your PO calls and says you need to go to treatment. We know you have to go have an evaluation first. We know the locations that you have to do that. So,
What's a PO?
Parole officer, probation
Oh, okay.
officer. Sorry.
Thanks.
So, just
Yeah.
an acronym. They get stuck in my head. Anyway, so we hire the people that already know the system. We know the routes to take, and we know who to talk to and what questions to ask. Because a lot of times the client does not. They're not going to know what to talk about or how to phrase it. And so we are a brief, focused intervention. So again, we're not long-term. We don't rush things. If it takes a while to get them the services they need, then it takes a while to get the services they need. But we're not meant to be that long-term service, because we're not a counselor, we're not treatment, we're not a lot of things. We get them to those places. And once we get them to those places, we check back in after, let's say they had an appointment on Wednesday, we check back in a few days later, hey, were you able to make it? And if they were, great. Did it go good? Is everything great? If it is, our job is done. If it's not, we find out what happened, and we keep going back to see what we can do to overcome those barriers. And low barrier, no cost options, find the ones with the grants, find the ones with the sliding scale fee. We work on finding transportation, if transportation is an issue. We work out different ways to communicate if the phone keeps breaking up. Can we do email? Do you have access to that? Can you get to somewhere that has a phone that can get us connected? And we provide a broad reach across Iowa, not only state to state. I've taken calls. I'm down in Lee County. I've taken calls from Sioux City, Sioux City and Story County, and anywhere. Any Iowan can call and get us. We're not limited by our district. And anyone can call us, a family member, a doctor. If you need information, you're trying to find help for someone, you can call us and we'll find it. As long as that person is from Iowa, then we'll do it. So,
Could you speak to, it says one of your benefits or features you just designed for rural areas.
correct, yep. Sometimes services are not going to be everywhere. Not everyone lives in the big city where there's lots and lots of stuff that they can find help with or get help with. And so we're designed for those. We find the places that can do telehealth. We find the transportation. We have to go through some back doors to find access to get them the help they need. And so because we're available in so many different ways, and through the CHCs and CCBHCs, we can get them the help they need. You don't have to live in a big city just to get help. Okay. Yep. All right, so we find those financial and access barriers, low cost or no cost options, communication information barriers. We're able to talk, the apples to the providers, but we can also talk to the clients in a language they're going to understand. And so sometimes also the language they understand is not necessarily English. And so we have an interpreter line. So I think it has the top 12 languages ready to go, and at a moment's notice, as we contact them, they can get those interpretation services up and running. And so with other barriers, we streamline connections and reduce delays because we know who to talk to. And if we don't, we have a network of people all across the state that we get a hold of, and someone knows the answer. And usually you get it within minutes. It's fascinating to watch. But we can also get rid of that fear, distrust, and emotional barriers because we are their one point of contact. They don't have to repeat their story over and over and over again until they find a provider that they need. they can just tell us. We call everybody and find who they need.
So do you have access to inpatient beds as well?
We do. Through website. Oh goodness.
That seems to be
I've been on that one.
a large problem and takes hours and days, at least that's what I'm told. So it's not working. That system is not working.
Correct. There is a solution somewhere. It's not here yet. But part of also what we do as a whole, both of us, normally we have Jane Larkin, who's with HHS. She's from the state. She is the main contact. We give everything to her if she's not here. So if there's anything that's not working, which I'm sure they're already aware of this, but we would let them know. Again, here's another concern. And then that's up to HHS to help find solutions for that. So, because if a bed's not available, Navigator will do the best we can, and we will find things to help them until a bed's available as well.
So are you getting called from our local ER and stuff then on this kind of thing?
I don't know if I've gotten one from your local ER here. I have gotten them from the ER from other areas. Yes.
And
Because, go ahead.
We have done a presentation with Jefferson County Health Center too, with the care managers and social workers, that we did that, I want to say, in March.
Isn't Flow State helping with that though, that process?
Flow State is typically more in the jail system. ITP does jails and hospital support for bed finding.
How about an overlay where you might start with somebody at the jail, but they end up down in the emergency room? We have frequently somebody that has a behavioral problem, they've acted out, maybe they're disorderly or something. They end up at the jail, they're explained at the jail that one of the alternatives to cooling off there is to visit the emergency room and have someone come down there, and you get a type of layperson assistance while somebody's on a screen helping them with possible mental health counseling appointments. Do you go there?
We do not go there. We would help set up that sort of referral for them if that's what was needed. But we do not go to the jails or to the hospitals, the ERs.
Okay.
Okay. So since July of last year, these are the number of referrals that we have made on behalf of clients. And so it started out pretty low in July, as you can imagine, still getting the word out. Actually, now it's still getting the word out. But up through March of this past, or this year, we've taken over 1,700, made 1,700 referrals for clients. So every client that calls in, this is by month, we find referrals, we find those long-term resources that they need. So this just March, we did over 1,700. Okay, go ahead. So the top three, here's a whole list of the top ones that we have, the issues that they have, but the top three are substance use, housing, and mental health referrals. Those are the most common calls we get. Okay. So we lead system integration. As the ASO, we're actively developing and supporting a unified behavioral health system. We make it consistent all across. So if someone in Sioux City wants to get a hold of a navigator and I happen to be the one that's available, I get the call, I can help them wherever. They don't have to call from my district. I can call wherever. We improve access. We try to make it seamless and cross-sector collaboration with people, with different providers, who can do what, who can do where. We try to make a difference, understand the system navigation, and how to effectively connect individuals. That's kind of your part too, now that you know we exist. If you have people that you know, hey, you need to go talk to the hospital, which we did, but if you need to go talk to them, or you need to talk to this group, because they're the ones that are on that front line. They're the ones that are dealing with the people. So we can go talk to them and find out. So, or if you yourself have people that you want to refer to us, you can do that as well. Okay.
All right, so this is the District Advisory Council, and the District Advisory Council is made up of 10 individuals, and we are fully seated in our District Advisory Council. You want the next slide for me? So member roles are elected officials, so 3 elected officials, and then we have 3 folks with lived behavioral health experience. One of those folks is a parent or a guardian of a child with behavioral health needs, and then behavioral health expertise, which typically is from our provider array, and then we have 1 law enforcement representative. So for those folks who would be close to Jefferson County, Jack Seward is a Board of Supervisor out of Washington County, who is one of our elected officials. The other 2 elected officials are sheriffs out of Appanoose County and Henry County. Our lived experience person, we have, they are from Lee County. She's from Lee County. She works for the hospital. And then our other lived experience person is Jennifer Olson. She is actually a Veteran Service Organization officer out of Iowa County. And then we have Denise Skipple, who represents the parent of a child with a lived experience. And then our providers are John Levy from Great River Health Systems out of Des Moines County and Lee County. And Christina Shark is on the governing board as a behavioral health representative. And then Jacqueline Duggan is our vice chair. She represents Abbey Center out of the northern part of the state. And then our law enforcement representative is Sheriff Snyder from Washington County. You can see that. So we did our district assessment, and what we worked through is what our strengths, opportunities, and gaps are. So our strengths are we do have committed crisis providers. We have committed providers in general across our district, which is good to see. We have a strong community awareness of system gaps and things that we need to work on as far as opportunities. And then we have providers who are willing to work together and collaborate. A lot of times we see that there might be a role come open with one provider and they hire somebody away from another provider. We've actually had experiences where they share employees to accommodate a couple of services in the community. Our opportunities are to expand and support the interaction, look at my notes because now the small print's getting hard to read. So the infrastructure to follow up after a crisis. You all talk about, folks are in a crisis. What happens is that crisis gets addressed and they are no longer in a crisis in that immediate moment. But then when they leave the emergency department or they leave mobile crisis response leaves, that crisis may escalate again. So we really need to look at providing after care services for those folks who've had a crisis involvement. And then we need to clarify crisis roles and improve the use of mobile crisis response and navigation through the system, and we're doing that a variety of ways. We also need to recover or identify, a lot of times folks think, oh, okay, somebody has gone through substance use disorder treatment and they've been there 60, 90 days. They have successfully completed that treatment and their support needs stop. That is not the case. Support needs continue for the life of that individual. And so we need to really recognize recovery services as a continuum level of care versus it's once the treatment's done, the person is good to go. And then gaps, we need to consistently use and understand mobile crisis services, our recovery focus following crisis encounters. And then we have established community recovery centers for folks with mental illness. We need to really focus on getting a recovery community established for our folks with substance use disorder. That is something that we are missing, and I believe that that is something that we are going to work on when we hit the road running on July 1st of this year. And then barriers are transportation and workforce, and those two things are not things that Iowa Primary Care can tackle on our own because those are very wide needs, but what we can do is we can be a party of the work that is being done to address those issues. And then the other thing is we do have some role confusion between crisis response, navigation, and treatment, so we want to help folks understand exactly what a service is, what is delivered, what's going to happen when somebody goes to that service so that they can then be sent to the right door at the right time. So for example, somebody maybe has an interface with the jail and they get sent to the emergency department, maybe a better place for them to go would be the Access Center at Southern Iowa Mental Health Center or 23-hour observation at Southern Iowa Mental Health Center. So we want to really make sure that everybody knows what those alternative options are for folks who are in a crisis but not necessarily an emergency level crisis.
Okay.
Our next District Advisory Council meeting is June 22nd. It's a hybrid. It will be via Zoom, and it will be in person at the Oskaloosa Public Library. And that meeting is from 1 until 2:30 in the afternoon. Part of our District Advisory Council meeting is to have 15 minutes dedicated for public comment. So I have, Jim and I have business cards, information sheets, Your Life Iowa cards that we're going to leave with you so that you have that information. And there's also a card on the District Advisory Council, but we welcome everybody to please join us for our District Advisory Councils that happen quarterly. I think we're at the end.
So we are past due also, so if you
Yes.
would leave your cards for everybody that they can follow up with questions.
Do you want them just on the table?
Yeah, just, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot of information. With that, I'm gonna close the study session and we'll just take a minute break here and reconvene for the regular council meeting. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Rowe.
Here.
Thompson. Here. Toohill.
Yes.
Esty.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Okay, councilors, anybody have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes of the April 27th, 2026 council meeting. Approval of the minutes of the May 1st, 2026 special council meeting. Approval of May 8th, 2026 payroll in the amount of $150,032.16. Approval of February finance report. Resolution of funds transfers. Consent of noise exemption for Tripolar Waves Performance 5/29/26 and 6/16/26. Consent of noise exemption for the 250th ice cream social park use permit. Resolution of employment in the Park and Recreation Department. Approval of liquor license for Crown Liquor, Tobacco, and G-Mart, Lenote LLC, and the Hideaway Pub. approval of ACH to the Department of Revenues in the amount of $20,457.64. And approval of total claims in the amount of $837,280.08. We had 3 claims more than $75,000. Christner Contracting for the fire station, $345,531.12. Norris Asphalt for Adams, $233,768.48, and Waste Management for $83,431.76. Does anybody have any comment, questions? I did see a correction on the minutes.
What you need?
Alicia Hall, it says Alyssa Hall.
Oh, how you spell it? Okay,
I'll get it to you officially.
okay,
I think it's EISHA, but I could be wrong.
okay.
Do we have any other information about tripolar waves? It just says music and merriment under the event description. Has that happened before, or?
I have not seen the application come through before.
And who was the person who put that on there?
They sent it into Park and Rec and Dawn, Travis, and the planning zoning.
Coordinating,
The gentleman's name, I believe, is Chris.
Chris Bush, it looks like, coordinator.
Oh, okay. Is there more than one Chris Bush, or is that the Chris Bush that I know?
The son.
Oh, the son. Okay. Okay,
And I did review claims, everything seemed fine.
okay. Any other comments, questions? That I would take a motion to approve?
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. I'll just make mention of the 250th Ice Cream Social. That's going to be after the chamber has a parade scheduled at 6 o'clock that night. And I'm kind of organizing this 250th party for that night. We've got, I think the Democrats and the Republicans are going to come together and do some ice cream social, maybe some other people, and we'll have 2 or 3 piece band, pretty light music. So games on the square from Friday. Marla Brado will bring her games up that she uses for Art Walk. So it'll just be a nice evening uptown.
What, is that on July 4th?
That's on July 2nd.
July 2nd.
July 2nd. Yeah, so we have a motion and a second. Go ahead and call the roll.
Gandy?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Esty?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Thank you. Under public forum and appearances, we have Shawn, Peck, Jefferson County Fair Board to talk about the fair parade.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members. Again, Shawn Peck, Fair Parade Coordinator for Greater Jefferson County Fair. Like to have a fair parade again, kind of kick off our fair. It'd be June 22nd. Line up at 6 at the high school and kicks off at 7 o'clock. See the parade route. Hopefully you got the parade route there, but basically from the high school down Broadway. Yeah, there we go. Biggest change though, we kind of 2 comments from last year's parade is A, they would like to see the parade route a little bit longer, so that kind of jaunt around the square, believe it or not, makes it about 20% longer. And then the other comment is just that when we went on the north side of the square, there just wasn't enough room. There were a lot of people there along the square, and so we're like, oh, okay, going around the square gives us 3 times as much kind of Central Park area for attendees and watchers. So that's our request from the Fair Board, is to approve this parade route.
Because it is around the square, do you have an officer here? Have you talked to the police department?
I have. I've talked both to the sheriff and the Fairfield Police Department about it.
Okay, did they have any issues? As far as you know?
Oh, none I know of. They said, you know, I mean, again, always subject to kind of calls at the time, but plan to be part of the parade, and it made mention of blocking off traffic. Especially, I'll be honest, that stretch on Burlington Street makes me a little bit nervous, but it is a busy street. But at least there, and then there on the southwest corner of the square, just to prevent anyone going north on Main Street in the middle of a parade.
Sure.
And potentially at D Street as well. Again, D Street, pretty busy street, you know, that's kind of,
Yeah. I know we've navigated that, and we've had parades go around the square before, but it's been a while, I think.
Yeah, I wonder if there would be any utility in referring it to public safety and transportation, just because, so we can get additional information from law enforcement but I don't know.
Have you spoken to Joel at all? Officer Nuno, do you know anything? What do you think?
I would make a motion to refer it to public safety and transportation, just to clarify, you know, with law enforcement again, and just make sure, you know, because it is a different route this time, and it does go on Burlington.
nope, understood. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Esti,
Yes.
Gandy. Yes. Rowe,
Yeah.
Toohill,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay, great, that was approved unanimously. They'll just go to safety committee and,
Then they'll get back a hold of me or.
yeah,
or-
and if, hopefully they could get a hold of you, even before, so you could come to that meeting. Terry Kness is the chair of that, so, we'll let her know.
Okay,
She's not here tonight, so.
right. So expect a phone call or text or something from Terry and then go from there.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
great,
you.
thank you.
Thank you one and all.
Yeah.
Melanny Hirshberg. She's planning ahead regarding trick or treat night.
Wanted to make sure I asked way before it was time for people to care about Halloween. I did bring a printout of the map, the area of road, if you'd be so kind to pass it. And I wrote it all down so that I wouldn't forget it. So, good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Melanny Hirshberg. I live on the corner of Washington Avenue and 2nd Street in the 4th Ward. I have a 5-year-old son. I would like to respectfully request consideration of a temporary street closure on Halloween night for child safety. Specifically, I'm asking that 2nd Street from Washington Avenue to Iowa Avenue be closed to vehicle traffic north and south from approximately 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., which in my experience is during peak trick-or-treat hours as the sun goes down. Every year, this area becomes very busy with families and children going from house to house. I'm sure this is not news, but also our sidewalks are very narrow, and if you have strollers and multiple kids, people tend to go into the street to get around that neighborhood, and it's very troubling to see cars almost hit little children back and forth. Young children often become excited and, you know, have sugar and dart into the street unexpectedly from house to house. There have been several close calls with vehicles, and many residents are concerned that someone could eventually be seriously hurt. This request is not intended to inconvenience drivers, but rather to create a safer environment for families during the short, high-traffic holiday experience. A temporary closure for just a few hours could greatly reduce the risk of accidents and help families feel safer participating in this community tradition. I appreciate the work the council does for our city, and thank you for considering this request. I'd also welcome any alternative safety measures. Frankly, any street or any, portion of this size of street to be closed during that evening would be really helpful. So if it's too large of an area or too big a scale, I will go on record as saying that any portion of that would be very useful. So thank you. Do I stay here while you have questions, or do I sit?
Yeah,
Okay.
Counselor, do you have any questions for Melanny? I'm just wondering if we shouldn't also move this to public safety for a further discussion.
I think that would be helpful. And then maybe also just getting some, just making sure that members of the community who live there on 2nd Street maybe are at least aware of it and getting some support. Because on the west side, there is an alley, I think, but there isn't one on the east side. I'm just thinking about people coming home from work and stuff. So, but I mean, I used to live on 2nd Street, and I've seen some near misses too, and it can be pretty terrifying, especially because it's dusk, and kids are in costumes, maybe black
yeah.
costumes,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yep.
they're not easily seen, so.
And there are really just two, there are so many strollers. We have to use the road often, just to have that many people in such a tight space. So it's already very dangerous to have cars trying to get down that street, and you have 90 strollers in the street as well. So it just adds to the complication.
I don't disagree with her at all. I mean, but I don't know if it's unique to this street either. I mean, I know we have well over 300 trick-or-treaters at our house, and we don't have sidewalks. So they're all in the street all the time, and they bring them in by the carload, and they just follow them with their cars. So, I mean, there's traffic back and forth and kids running around the entire night.
I would say though that like Second Street is an especially busy traffic. I don't know where you live, but like on Second Street, there are a lot of people just driving. Yeah.
And houses are really close. So if you're a kid, it's like perfect to just hit a bunch of houses on a short stretch.
And it's just kind of a well-traveled area generally with the cars, so.
Well, I think that's one of the issues that I briefly talked with Melanny today, that, you know, one of the comments could be that, hey, this isn't the only street that has this issue. So I think a further discussion could be useful.
Sure.
Well,
to
I'll
see
make
if you
a
really want to go
motion.
down this road.
I'll make a motion to move it to public safety and transportation.
I'll second it.
Because of the wordplay.
Yeah, no pun intended.
What does that mean for like the regular humans not on city council and someone?
So that, it's been moved and seconded to take this issue to public safety. So that's a group of 3 of your council members, and they would discuss it in deeper length and thought.
And you'll
So-
be provided notice, I assume, and you can attend it and talk about the issue.
Yeah, it would be an open
further.
meeting, so
Yeah.
anybody could attend.
And then
So-
they might make a recommendation to this full council as to how we should proceed.
So it might come back.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, so it's just another step.
The wheels of bureaucracy move slowly.
Yeah, but we got plenty of time. So it's been moved and seconded to move this to safety committee. Is there any other discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Esty?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Thanks, Melanie. Sara Martindale, Library Youth.
Madam Mayor, council members, my name's Sara Martindale. I work at the Fairfield Public Library. I'm in charge of all of the kids' stuff, and we're planning a really big shindig on Friday, June 5th. I'm proposing that we close a small portion of the street. I'd still like to have access, I'd still like to have access to the west parking lot, but when we have our summer reading kickoff party on Friday, June 5th, from 3 until 6 p.m., we have outdoor activities as well as all kinds of indoor activities. I would like to close the street just to make it a little bit safer for kids. There is a lot of coming and going, and that would eliminate some parking for us, but it would also give us access to the street for a bigger bounce house. And some games that we could play in the street and open the event up to the community more.
And you've done this before.
I have not. I've done the party before. I've never closed the street before. In the past, Afton Pedrick has closed it when
Yeah,
she
that's
was
what I was
still
thinking. That
librarian.
part of the
Yeah.
street
It's
had
been
been closed
closed.
before.
Yes.
Will the construction be done at the, okay.
Okay.
Well, I move to approve the street closure as requested.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Gandy, so it's been moved and seconded to close that West Adams, that portion, on June 5th. What was the time frame again?
I'm requesting 12 to 6 so we have some setup time and make sure we have enough time to clear the cars out before the event starts at 3.
Okay, great.
You've asked for a noise exemption. Have you had some commentary from the neighborhood about
No
little
one's
kids' noise?
complained to me about our loud bounce house.
No, we just recommended it on
Yes.
staff level to go ahead and do it while she was requesting.
Okay. All right.
Okay, got me covered.
Okay. Any other questions, council?
One party after another.
Yeah. I guess go ahead and call the roll.
Esty?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, that was approved unanimously.
Thanks,
Good
folks.
luck with your party. Okay, we'll move on to resolution, action items, and ordinances. The first action item is consideration to set a public hearing on the matter of the fiscal year 26 budget amendment for Tuesday, May 26, 2026 at 7 p.m. Again, this would be a public hearing for our next council meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Gandy,
Second.
second by Toohill. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Gandy.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Thank you, that was approved unanimously. The next action item is consideration of joint legal representation relating to city and Fairfield Community School District real estate transfer with Allers and Cooney.
Okay, so the official action item is to that agreement for the joint legal representation. But I wanted to go over, I guess, what's been being discussed with the school district and hopefully get some head nod, unofficial ideas on how the council feels about the situation so that the school can go ahead and continue to proceed with getting their bids on this. On the second to last page of the attachment, it shows that the school, shows the proposed layout. The school wants to add a separated bus lane, basically right through where the basketball courts are. And so the proposed buses, or the way the buses will flow, is they'll come on 5th Street, then cut across the basketball courts, and then go over to the gravel driveway that is the extension of 4th Street. We have never had, or well, not that we can find, a 2080 agreement for the gravel portion that is the extension of 4th Street that goes back towards the school ball fields. But the pink area on that map is the portion of the gravel driveway that is on the O.B. Nelson property. The yellow portion is the area that is 4th Street right away. So what I discussed with the school, so that we don't have any questions as far as who's responsible for snow plowing, who's responsible for insurance, who's responsible for signage, then we don't have to worry about an agreement as far as you can do work on our property, you can't do work on our property, all of that. I said, how about we sell you the 0.33 acres for $1, and you give us an easement for the water and sewer that are on that road. And they said, that sounds good to us. They said, we'll have our attorneys look at it, and also said, we'll have our attorneys look at it. Well, it turns out we both use Allers. So what the action item you have in front of you is acknowledging that both parties are using Allers. However, because both parties are in agreement and that this is not a negotiation or this is not confrontational, that Allers agrees that this is okay for us to proceed. So Allers will assist us with the proper procedures for disposing of the 0.33 acres, and they'll assist the school with the easement documents and receiving the land. Questions? Yes.
That goes clear down to the parking lot?
It does not go all the way to the parking lot. It's about 300 feet. So it doesn't even go past the existing middle school.
Gotcha.
Then, because the road kind of curves back and then goes completely on the middle school property.
Can you just talk me through your question at the end of your memo?
Mm-hmm.
One particular question is if a bus lane can be treated like a driveway with no minimum setback from the property line, or if it should be treated like a roadway at 10 to 15 feet from the property line. So how does that impact this consideration?
So it doesn't impact the 0.33 acres. What it impacts is the placement of that bus lane. So again, we could send the whole thing to public safety, but the school wants to be building this over the summer. And I don't have a section of the code to really point to on this. And so there is the southwest corner of Fillmore and 4th. There is a private property there. You can see the white or the blank space there with some hash marks showing the fence. And, you know, if this was a residential driveway, well, if this was a driveway, whether it's commercial or residential, we would say you can put your driveway right up next to the property line. We don't have any specifications. But if I was going to, if this was a road right away, we would say the road right away needs to be 60 feet wide, 60 to 66 feet wide. It's a 24-foot wide road, which means the road would be about 15 feet back from the property line. So the school, to have the least amount of concrete, obviously wants to have it closer to the property line. But kind of like, I don't have anything to really point to. I do know they are trying to reach out to that property owner to get their opinion on it. It is a rental at this point. I believe it's actually an Airbnb. That it's a short-term rental rather than a lease agreement.
And the area in question is like to the south of that vacant
Yes.
lot? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem like close to
Right,
where the
yeah,
house.
it's not close to the house,
Okay.
it's literally the backyard of that property.
Okay.
So, again, it's a backyard compared to a front, I mean, if it was someone's front yard, I would feel a little bit different, and so it's an odd situation. With it being a sole bus lane, I feel better about it being treated as a driveway and being able to be closer than than if it was like the in and out for all of the cars.
Right, because they're not going to have kids like being loaded on right there.
Right.
Yeah.
And Marcus, correct me if I'm wrong, but the parent traffic is coming in the 6th Street entrance.
Yes, it's coming on the west side,
Yep.
where the existing entrance is
Right.
today.
Okay.
But kids will be loading and unloading in that area.
The buses
The
will
buses,
be, yeah.
buses.
So on where it's 5th Street, is that gonna be one way now?
5th, it's gonna be it's two-way. Oh, 5th Street, yes,
Fifth
sorry,
Street.
5th Street is one way, I was looking at 4th.
This
Fifth
on the
Street.
school side,
Yep.
yep.
Yes, on the school side.
Yep.
So everybody else will go in and go out on the 6th Street entrance?
Yes,
Gotcha.
that's my understanding.
I mean, I know we're not voting on that, but I'm definitely in favor of streamlining that whole process over there. It's kind of a mess.
And that's kind of where I'm like, you know, as many times as we have taken the different school parking, no parking issues, to public safety, I'm kind of just, you know, if that's what the school wants to move forward with, I'm okay with it. I did list in the memo additional reasons why I don't see an issue with the situation as a whole. You know, anytime they can separate the buses from the cars, that's great. We've already added the additional stop sign at 4th as well as the crosswalk. So in general, from an overall city perspective, I don't see an issue with it. And I did ask the superintendent to include in the transfer a clause that would say if the city ever needs to purchase right-of-way back or a water sewer easement, say we need to extend sanitary sewer down south, that we would be able to purchase the land for $1. Obviously, we would reimburse the school for any damages to pavement or anything else improvements that they've done. But I want to maintain that opportunity to gain our land back at no huge expense. And the superintendent agreed with that additional clause. So I think we're in agreement as far as general terms.
Do we have a cost for Allers and Cooney? Or are they paying for this?
Allers and Cooney, they are paying for. The school is paying for writing up the easements and the agreement. Allers is going to help us with the public hearings, and we're paying for the public hearings to dispose of city land, according to Iowa code.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
John, do you see any problem with the joint legal representation in this matter, since we're all in
No, I've read
agreement?
it. We've been here and done this before.
Okay.
If you have a dispute, it lands on the school district's attorney and me, and we negotiate and leave Ehlers out.
Okay.
I don't think we will.
Okay, is there a motion to move this forward?
I guess I'd make a motion to, agree to the joint legal representation relating to city and Fairfield Community School District real estate transfer with Allers.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Gandy. Any further discussions or questions? Not, please call the roll.
Esti,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Okay, that was approved unanimously to enter into this agreement for the joint legal representation for the city and Fairfield Community School District. Alrighty. Next up is consideration of engineering service agreement with FrenchReneker Associates for Maine and Burlington safety improvements.
Good evening, Council. This is an engineering service agreement for the replacement of the traffic signals and pedestrian improvements at the intersection of Burlington and Main Street. The project would include just replacing the traffic signals, the pedestrian bump outs, and the other pedestrian improvements, ADA compliant sidewalks. This project is funded by TSIP and USTEP that the city was awarded, and the agreement is for $73,500. I'm here to answer any questions about the agreement or the project.
And we were awarded funding that would cover all of that.
The funding covers about half of the project. The city was awarded $213,000 for the TSIP and $200,000 for the USTEP. The total project estimate is around $953,000.
But it
And that
covers,
includes the engineering in that
Right,
cost,
right.
yes.
We've got enough to cover the engineering services agreement,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Sorry, Melanny.
The stuff not funded by state grants is in this coming year's budget to be paid for with street lost funds.
Cool, thank you.
And a little bit of sidewalk funds.
right. But this is being paid for. This amount you're asking for, this,
So
Yeah.
it was in that $953,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
yeah. Thank you. Move to approve engineering services agreement with FrenchReneker.
Okay, moved by Gandy,
Second.
second by Toohill. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Gandy.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Next. Consideration to accept quote for Walton Road surfacing project.
So the quote that's attached to the agenda is from LL Pelling to seal coat from Pleasant Plain Road to the city limits, which is on the east side of, I'll say the dam, or a little bit farther east of the entrance to the Walton subdivision. The total proposal cost is $39,393. The final quantities, the final amount will be based off of the unit costs shown and the final quantities placed. So this is in front of you for two reasons. One, to accept the quote. The other is that this specific project was not in this year's capital improvements plan. We intend to pay for this out of the line item associated with in-house work. That line item had around $175,000 budgeted, and we did not spend it all. We were able to use, we have plenty of money to pay for this, but again, this project specifically was not in the capital improvements plan. The other thing that I want to point out is that Walton Road, in this section, a portion of it does have residents that are outside of city limits. With the pending annexations that we have out there, roughly about a third of the project would be considered county. However, at around $13,000, in order to get the work done and coordinating our budget with their budget, and the fact that we have extra money this year, to get two entities always on the same page, such a small amount is not necessarily worth trying to get both entities on the same priority at the same time. So we're recommending just moving forward with the city paying for all of it. However, the county has agreed to pay for all of the painting associated with putting the white lines and the yellow lines back on it on their portion and our portion, which has a value of around $1,000. So it's not a one-to-one. Seal code assuming a minimum 3-year life. You know, again, it's we're talking that the city's paying maybe an extra $10,000 by the time it would take us. The effort that it would take to come to an agreement between the two, we would spend, you know, the $10,000 very, very quickly. So we think that we're still ahead in moving forward with this project and getting that area resurfaced.
You're welcome, Jefferson County. I would move to approve.
Okay, there's been a motion by Gandy to accept the quote for Walton Road resurfacing project. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Toohill. Any discussion?
Just to be clear, the intent is that at some point, all those properties will be annexed into the city, or will there still be county property remaining out there?
I think if you look at the comprehensive plan, that area would all be city.
Okay.
When I say that pending annexation is we have 2 properties. One for sure, the other one is still pending, but we have one that has water services and has signed a pre-annexation agreement that says at the time the city wants to annex them, they can. And it's actually has a lot of frontage. So even though they're technically considered in the county, we do have that pre-annexation agreement with them. So, and I think that area will continue to grow, which again is understandable why that road is not necessarily a high priority for county maintenance, but it is for us.
Okay, we do have a motion, a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Gandy?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Esti?
Yes.
Great, thank you. That was approved unanimously to accept that quote for the Walton Road surfacing project. Next is a resolution. Consideration of exchange of real estate assets for which value is established per professional appraisal for release and satisfaction of city-held note and mortgage. John, are you going to speak to this?
Yes, I am. This comes to us because of things that restrict us. And we have a chapter 403 of the Iowa Code, essentially, that says cities can't dispose of assets and they can't give away money, except for, and then there is a laundry list of things that have to do with public purpose, development purpose, other things that we are allowed to encourage and promote by incentivizing, and that includes some funding and some contribution towards using city assets. We also, where we're doing something that is basically an exchange of value, we also look at I want to say the Iowa Constitution, Section 15, which again restricts the city giving anything to a private party without full consideration, except, and then we have the circumstances that have been carved out over a century and a half as far as what we can do if it has to do with promotion of public purpose. And in this situation, what we're talking about is development of housing, which is one of our priorities. It's a situation where we're talking about incentivizing housing by doing things that may help a developer in a pursuit of tax credit grants, and that in the first place will put us in a position where the city, under this process with this resolution, will end up holding a piece of property that is the site for an intended development or a development that is being worked into place right now, subject to determinations about grant eligibility and other things that fit the project. So we're trying to incentivize something here, first of all, by having an asset that we can turn over. The asset that we're talking about is 17.35 acres of land north of the Armory, out in the industrial park development. It's northeast of Sky Factory. That particular site has had an appraisal. That appraisal is in the possession of the city right now. It shows that property to be worth 17 acres, about $350,000. The asset, as far as why it might end up being the city's asset, is it's offered by the Grow Fairfield Feeded Economic Development Association in exchange for, in a legal exchange, a forgiveness of a mortgage related to a new development in the southwest part of town, Sunrise Trail. And this area has a $200,000 encumbrance that in exchange of this particular real estate asset of 17.35 acres would forgive and release in this resolution that particular finance obligation, but at the same time the city would be the recipient. And I have a deed that I've reviewed that basically would have the description of the two parcels that make up the 17.35 acres inserted in a deed from Grow Fairfield FEDA to the city if the city says, let's do this right now. Even if the city doesn't do this right now, but has it as part of the development plan, and you do the exchange right now under this resolution is a valid legal exchange. Value for value, the city comes out ahead. Assuming that we've done our due diligence as far as our review of the appraisal, which I believe we have. We've got a well-rated appraiser. We've got all of the characteristics that are required for an appraisal to be done under accepted accounting methods, and it looks like there would be difficulty arguing that this isn't a beneficial exchange. So that being said, the resolution itself indicates that it is Grow Fairfield FEDA that is proposing this trade, and mention is made of the appraisal value, and that the city has proposed this reviewed trade, and as far as mortgage satisfaction and release, the city would be satisfied that there is a substantial financial advantage to the town, at the same time affording a method to allow the city to benefit and incentivize a private developer consistent with our housing improvement and growth goals. So other than that, the last page has some language essentially that just talks about this being in the community best interest, how it can be accomplished by a deed from the Development Association to the city to fulfill what would be permitted under the resolution. Passing the resolution tonight does not mean that you have to do anything tomorrow as far as closing things with a deed in exchange for a release and satisfaction, but it does make a finding that you think this is a fair or a beneficial trade. So that's what this resolution accomplishes.
John, I think we're going to have a question.
Yes. So I think we've probably talked about this before the public several times, but to understand it as simply as I can understand it, the city lent to Grow Fairfield, formerly known as Fairfield Economic Development Association, $200,000 several years ago. Was it 2021? 2023, used that money. Part of that money was used to purchase land, which sits Sunrise Trail subdivision.
Trail is now the intended addition.
The agreement at that time was that the loan was going to be paid off through sale of lots in that division. Grow Fairfield has found a developer willing to develop rental properties on a 17.83 acre lot or parcel of land called Kading Properties. They're very successful and deliberate developer around the state. And we need to present to them a package of incentives in order to motivate them to develop here. One of the incentives we're offering is for the city, is this correct? To purchase.
This puts us in a position to be able to offer the building site, basically.
Forgive the loan. In exchange for that, the city purchases the 17.83 acres.
Right.
And then we give it to Kading Properties. That's one of the incentives they receive.
The city's part of an incentive. There are also other incentives going in.
But this part is what the $200,000 is translating into.
Right.
Ownership of 17.83 acres, which we give to Kading Properties as an incentive for them to build the house, I believe it's 156 rental units.
That's, I believe, correct, yeah.
And we've looked at it.
Ed Malloy is here tonight from Grow Fairfield, and I believe there may be somebody here from Kading also, if I'm correct.
And we talked about this at our last meeting.
And we've talked about it several times. I'm just making sure the public understands what we're doing, because we've determined in several meetings that for the city this makes sense. Our number one concern of the city, a top priority, is the housing challenge we face, and this is a way to address that challenge using the city's assets, using the expertise of our truly a trusted partner in Grow Fairfield to leverage that asset, that loan, that debt owed to us by Grow Fairfield to a larger piece of property and actually to more housing. That's what this nets out to be.
About,
yeah.
So I just want to make a comment that I get this resolution, it's a trade. I think the next step seems to be, we got an email from Jenny Sabrowski at Allers, and it seems as if she's questioning the next step. And so the legal of us providing, just giving that land to the developer.
Right, there are different methods for getting the land to the developer. There's different levels of incentivization, and there are things that could be in an option agreement, they could be in a development agreement, they could be in a purchase agreement. There's been a draft purchase agreement already in front of city administration earlier, but then there was this discussion with our Public Finance Council about other alternatives, and so we're looking at all of these. But the thing we're sure of at this point is there's a clear advantage shown by the appraisal, and it fits both the constitutional requisites and 403 requirements for a development type of property that isn't giving money to a private entity without consideration. So those things are in between the lines in this resolution, but they have to be part of the understandings.
You have any comments, Doug?
It's a lot. And I think he's touched on all the points. The one concern that of course we have is that public purpose. And the incentivization that we were looking into is there are communities and counties and cities in the state of Iowa and state of Kansas and some other states that actually they have property. For instance, they'll have 5 acres that they will give an individual if they build a home on it, and live on it for 5 years before they consider selling it. And it is to help their economic tax base. Is that what this fits into? And, so I just want to make sure that we're dotting all of our I's and crossing all of our T's.
Yeah. Ed, if we had you at the speaker for a minute, we're assuming that this is definitely a development that has enough buildings in place that the structural value will help our tax base. Does that make sense?
I would say yes. Good evening, Council. And you're correct. Fortunately, tonight we have Chase Hauschlet from Kading Properties who's here. And, what I've learned about how this is done at the city level, a lot of that has come from Chase and the work that Kading's done with other communities in a similar way. They are, an extraordinary developer in the sense that there's really a lot of their own capital that is going into a project like this, including the infrastructure. I'll just take a venture to guess that it's a 30 million plus development that is going to be done to complete 30 buildings and 156 units. So to answer Doug's question, yes, that's what you're investing in. You're investing in future value, capital value that is taxable within the community beyond the tax abatement period. Putting together something like this is typical for, a deal like this where there are stacks of where the investment is going to come from. And of course, the money that Kading is going to be investing in the development is the lion's share, but from our side, showing some good faith in adding incentives to this developer to help them navigate what it is to get it built and developed, but also to show some level of partnership with them as well. There is the workforce housing tax credits, which is a great program for incentivizing these projects. Kading has won numerous awards there and does plan to make an application this year for workforce housing tax credits to support this project in Fairfield. If they are successful, they can get up to a $1 million award. So that is something that we want to support them with also. At a recent conference where I spoke with the gentleman who heads this program for IEDA, he said that land ownership, zoning, a number of things really have to be in place for the applications to be taken seriously in a sense. So that's what we're trying to accomplish between now and June 10th when those applications are due.
You were saying the IEDA, of course it stands for
Iowa Economic Development Association.
Thank you, which is a state agency.
Don't throw around those acronyms.
Which is a state agency.
Yes, that's the Economic Development Agency for the state. So yes, I mean, and I think having had a brief conversation with Chase before the meeting, there can be some flexibility in how this goes about. And the Allers attorney had indicated in her email that an option agreement would be more beneficial to the city's position. I think that would probably be fine as long as that language is strong enough so that the folks at IEDA, Iowa Economic Development Department, know that that there is that option to purchase the piece of land. I know we were going to introduce Chase when you went through the second reading of the zoning, but if you'd like him to address that now, that would be fine.
Sure, that'd be great. I mean, I think there's no doubt that we want to get to the end game, which is supporting all of this. It's just a matter of how to get there. We want to do it the most legal way.
Well, good evening, Council. My name is Chase Hoschel, and I'm with Kading Properties. We are a family-owned Iowa real estate development, construction, property management company based out of Iowa. We're family-owned and operated. We've been in business.
Chase, where in Iowa are you based?
Urbandale.
Urbandale,
okay. So we're based in Urbandale, but we have a footprint in about 26 different communities across the state. We specialize in workforce housing, so market rate, leased homes. We take care of all the property management, leasing, everything like that. And we've never sold one of our larger scale developments. That's kind of what makes us unique is when we come to town, we have a commitment to your employers. We're going to take care of them. We take 17 acres or however big the site is. We put all the infrastructure and roads in, and then we maintain them and keep operating them. And we've never sold one of our developments. This past summer, or last summer, sorry, we actually had the opportunity to spend a day here in Fairfield. I had members from my development team, construction team, property management team, and our maintenance as well. But Fairfield was selected as one of our hometown tour destinations. And so this is a program where we select 5 communities across the state to come and learn more about what makes them unique, special, and then also about their housing needs. So we spent the day with the mayor and Ed. We got to tour downtown. We got to see the new ballroom. And throughout the day, we also had discussions about the need for housing as well. Getting a tour and talk to agri-industrial plastics, Cambridge, and then other employers as well. It was eye-opening that, they're telling us that workforce housing, more housing options in Fairfield are needed. At the end of the day, we also had a round table with more employers to discuss their housing needs as well. General consensus is, again, that more housing is needed in Fairfield. Luckily, Ed picked Taco Dreams for lunch, so that was phenomenal. But after our tour, my team, we enjoyed our time in Fairfield a lot, and we want to pursue a project here. So right now we are kind of in the planning stages of it. We do plan to submit a workforce housing tax credit application to the Iowa Economic Development Authority in June. And so this is kind of one of those steps as having either the option or land control of the site is one of those points that you have to hit. The state wants to see that the project is ready to proceed and that there's involvement from both private and the public sector. So, sorry,
have you
that was
structured something similar to what we've been talking about? Like if the city gets, we do this exchange and the city owns that land, with your other communities, how have you structured that with getting the land from the city?
Yep, so actually in the past 2 years, I had 2 projects it was city-owned, public-owned land beforehand. Both of them were awarded tax credits from the state, but typically what we do is we enter into a purchase agreement that basically gives us the right to purchase the property. We're not in the business of taking land if we're not going to do anything with it, so the purchase agreements are written subject to hitting all the points. Tax credits from the state or similar obligation would be on there as well. And then in some of them, we've also done things like conditions where, if we haven't started construction in a certain amount of years, we would deed that land back to the city after we've closed. But typically, we would close after we hit all those points, site plans, things like that, to guarantee that the project's going to move forward.
Thank you. Thank you for that information. Any questions, council?
When would you expect to, if everything goes as planned, to hit all those points?
So I had my attorney draft a purchase agreement modeled off of a past public purchase agreement. And so we know that the state's workforce housing tax credits, right now they say it's going to be September when they'll announce those. So my hope would be that we could get the land under contract soon so that we could do some of the due diligence items. I could get my engineer on site and things like that. And then hopefully we'll get good news in September and then we can proceed from there.
What is it?
Your application has to be in June 10th?
June 10th, yep.
Okay.
Application's in June 10th and then they'll review them this summer and then they'll announce the awards in September.
What does that mean, proceed from there? Does that mean you're going to break ground this year?
So
Possibly.
For breaking ground, we'd probably be looking at Q2 of 2027, so probably that following spring or summer.
Okay. Any additional questions?
I guess not to jump ahead because I know that we're still talking about the exchange of real estate asset. This is related to the rezoning of the parcels that are pursuant to our ordinance, right?
Correct.
Okay, great.
Yep. Okay, so is there a motion to move this forward for this exchange of real estate?
So moved.
Moved by Gandy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Toohill. Any further discussion? Now please call the roll.
Gandy.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you, that was approved unanimously. Next up is a resolution, consideration to authorize tax increment financing, low and moderate income, LMI, set aside funds to be utilized within the Fairfield, Iowa corporate limits. I assume, Paul, you're gonna talk about this.
Yeah, that's easy for you to say.
You wrote it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Based on the statute, and I will weave into this the fact that we had an Economic Development Committee meeting last week, very well attended. We had 12 people present, I think maybe more than 12. That included the two members of the committee, myself and Doug Ferguson, various members of city staff, and a number of citizens. Very interested in this subject. What we're talking about is there are tax funds, LMI, tax and increment financing funds the city gets that some of it is placed in something called a low to moderate income balance as part of our city balance sheet. And by state statute, we are to use those funds to help promote and incentivize low to moderate income housing development within the city. Low to moderate income housing is defined by state statute as essentially 80% of the median income for that area. And so we know what those numbers are. So we've accumulated north of $200,000 in that fund. We expect another $100,000, $108,000 at the end of July and August. We expect, if everything goes according to what our calculations are showing, another $70,000 or so in fiscal year 27-28. So these are funds we must use to incentivize low to moderate income housing development. If you recall, you may not recall, but I have to remember, last year we passed an ordinance adopting a housing development incentives program for the city of Fairfield back in April of 2025. And it's specifically focused on what to do with LMI funds. We'll call them LMI funds. And we adopted a number of different items that we can use those funds for. That includes incentivizing development of new homes. It includes incentivizing repair of older homes. It includes a number of different other factors. So what we're doing now is we're meeting to decide, okay, with these funds, how we disperse them, what's the most effective way. We recognize we have a housing challenge in Fairfield. What we just heard today, or just a few moments ago, about Kading properties is an attempt to address that concern. What we heard when our city attorney was speaking about Sunrise Trail Division, that's an attempt to address those concerns. This is another way to address those concerns, a different way when we're dealing with LMI qualified individuals and families. So what we met to discuss at our Economic Development Committee hearing last week was what kind of plan should we have for these north of 300,000, not when it all comes said and done for next year, $370,000 in funds. We've decided to take a deliberate approach and look carefully at what our options are. And in doing so, we've come with one recommendation to the council now for a portion of those funds. So Grow Fairfield, which I think is demonstrated tonight in other activities with Sunrise Trail, for example, has proven to us, to city, at least to me, my mind, and the others in the Economic Development Committee, to be a trusted partner of the city. So they come to us with plans in place. They're able to implement. When we partner with them, they're able to make things happen and do things, we think, in a way that helps us achieve our goal, which in this case, address the housing challenge. So they came to us with a suggestion that they could use an additional $30,000 to help with reducing the cost of 2 more homes that they're going to put in place, I believe, this year from Homes for Iowa. Homes for Iowa is a project of people who are incarcerated who learn to build homes, and they build them well. And they're in such demand that we're able to snag at least 2 more homes to be put in place this year, not more, but just 2, because they're in demand all over the state. And what we're trying to do is make these homes more affordable to attract LMI qualified individuals. So Grow Fairfield approached us to the idea if they could have an additional amount of money to use perhaps to help to reduce the cost by allowing them to bring, I think the idea is help with the infrastructure, bring, for example, sewer to the middle of the road where the houses are being built, things like that. They'd be able to be more attractive as a potential purchase for LMI qualified individuals. So it was our recommendation to the council that this makes sense, that we offer to Grow Fairfield the $30,000 to be used for these two homes that are going to be in place in 2026. It's up to, they have to be LMI qualified individuals. Once we determine that the LMI qualified individuals, which is determined by state statute, we would disperse the funds to them to the order of $15,000 per house. So what this resolution is the authorization, the vote from the city that we will disperse those funds when Grow Fairfield comes to us with that qualification for those two homes, and we expect it to be this year. So I'm going to make a motion. I think the resolution should be attached as part of the agenda, and hopefully the council's had a chance to review it. It's pretty straightforward. It's like the resolution we had last year, just follows up on it. And we're getting started on dispersing these funds, and this is, I think, an excellent way to start that process. So I'm making that motion to approve that resolution, authorizing, as the mayor said, a dispersal of those funds to the tune of $30,000.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion?
I feel like, I've expressed this concern before regarding maintenance of properties and making sure that individuals, especially in that low to moderate income range, are able to do the repairs necessary to maintain their homes. I mean, I know they're the Grow Fairfield homes, but then there are also Habitat for Humanity homes, and sometimes individuals, we can incentivize them getting into a new home, maintaining that home, and then, with the way that we are trying to enforce our nuisance code, can then kind of backfire. So I would just, I know I was unable to attend the economic development meeting, but I would definitely urge that we also figure out a way to disperse some of those LMI funds to individuals who are struggling to do some of the required maintenance on their homes, so that, in addition to providing new housing, we're also trying to maintain the housing we have, or even, improve the older housing stock.
Absolutely. And so this is a dispersal of less than 10% of the LMI funds that we anticipate over the next year. And that was definitely a topic of conversation at our meeting last week. There were different ideas, a number of different ideas, and one of them that was, I think, robustly supported was the idea of using these funds in some way to set up some sort of program or plug into a program that's already been established that allows some of these funds to be used to help people, LMI qualified individuals and families who are already in homes, to help repair those homes, rehabilitate those homes. So that's definitely on the table. It's something we're going to, I think, we'll be coming to the city with some sort of program like that over the next several months.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to accept this resolution to authorize $30,000 for two new homes for Iowa. If there's no more questions, please call the roll.
Gandy?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Esty?
Yes.
Okay, that was approved unanimously to approve that $30,000 from LMI funds. Next is the matter of restating our utility rates ordinance. This is an increase in utility rates for our water rates, and excuse me?
Not an increase.
Oh, that was an increase.
No, this is, at the last council meeting,
Oh.
it was the third and final reading of you guys giving yourselves the own authority to set the rates. So now we are
okay.
restating our existing rates, as the city council has that authority.
Because the ordinance that we adopted meant that we would be setting our rates via resolution going forward, so.
No, it had mentioned the water and sewer committee and.
Oh, right, that's right, that's right, that's right, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself. So thank you for that clarification.
Yep.
So with that, I will open a public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to this particular issue? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing, and then we go to the ordinance, which is the first reading. consideration to repeal and replace Title 14, Chapter 14.04.240, water rates and charges of the Municipal Code of the City of Fairfield to ratify, confirm, and establish water rates and charges for municipal utility services.
I'd move this to the second reading.
Okay. Moved by Esty.
I'll second to move it to the second reading.
Second by Toohill. We're very cautious tonight, aren't we? Any discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Esty?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We do have 3 more ordinances. These are the second readings. I'll open a public hearing before each one. So the first 2 ordinances, 1280 and 1281, again, have to do with rezoning these sections that are in the real estate that we've been talking about all evening up on gear. And so part of that, that 17 plus acres is zoned limited manufacturing, and part of it is R2 general, and we want to rezone them to planned unit development. So the first one is ordinance 1280. Again, this is the second reading. Consideration of rezoning of parcels 0626 1026. Manufacturing M1 limited manufacturing to planned unit development district. I will open a public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to ordinance 1280? Again, this is rezoning from limited manufacturing to the planned unit development. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. And council, is there a motion to move this from the second reading to the third reading?
So moved.
Moved by Toohill.
Second.
Second by Esty. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Toohill?
Yes.
Esty?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. And then we go to ordinance 1281. Again, this is rezoning of parcels 0626 1030. This is the R2 general residence to planned unit development district. Again, this is the second reading. With that, I'll open the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to this portion? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion to move this from the second to the third reading?
So moved.
Moved by Toohill.
Second.
Second by Gandy. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Toohill?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Esty?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Thank you, that was approved unanimously. And then we move to ordinance 1282, consideration of amending part of chapter 2.08 concerning the office of city solicitor, also known as the city attorney, and its composition and operations. Again, this is the second reading. I will open, a public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to this particular issue? Not, I'll close the public hearing. And is there a motion to move this from the second to third reading?
So moved.
Moved by Gandy.
Second.
Second by Toohill. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Gandy?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Esty?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Thank you, that was approved unanimously. So under the mayor's report, I have a proclamation. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I'm going to read this proclamation. Whereas the National Alliance on Mental Illness is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization dedicated to building better lives for millions of Americans affected by mental illness. And whereas the Jefferson County Mental Health Alliance mission is to improve the mental health and well-being of Jefferson County residents by ensuring access to highly effective community-based education, support, and care. And whereas mental illness does not discriminate. It affects adults, children, and people of every ethnic, socioeconomic, religious, or political background. And whereas suicide is the third leading cause of death for teenage deaths age 15 to 19, and whereas suicide is the second leading cause of death for veterans under age 45, and that whereas many of us have been affected by suicide in our family, friends, or community relationships. And whereas helping yourself have a healthy brain includes healthy eating habits, healthy food, ample sleep, and regular exercise. And whereas the Fairfield Chamber leadership students have planned a Be the Light suicide prevention walk to raise awareness. Now therefore, I, Connie Boyer, for Mayor of Fairfield, do hereby proclaim May 26th as Mental Health Awareness Month. And I appreciate Melanny brought this to my attention, and I really tried to incorporate our own community and what we're doing to help our own community. So, thank you. I would also like to mention that this is National Police Week, I believe it is, which began on yesterday, May 10th. And I'm just going to read this. Actually, our Fairfield Police Department posted this, and I thought it was a good read. So, across our nation this week is a time of reflection, gratitude, and remembrance. We honor the brave men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. Their names, their stories, and their legacy live on, not only within their departments, but in the communities they gave everything to protect. They will never be forgotten. We also stand in appreciation of those who continue to serve today. Policing is more than a profession. It is a calling marked by courage, sacrifice, and a commitment to others, often in the most difficult moments. Day and night, you step forward so that others can feel safe. To the families who share in the sacrifice, your strength does not go unnoticed. Your support makes this service possible, and this week we honor you as well. During National Police Week, we invite our community to come together to remember, to reflect, and to show appreciation. So take a moment to thank an officer, honor a fallen hero, and recognize the service behind the badge. In Fairfield, I think we maybe have only had one officer killed in line of duty, Mr. Sutherland. And I will note that his family paid for the angel that's in the park. That at Christmas time, that's on the southwest part of the park. And that was donated by their family. So we honor him tonight and their family and all our police officers. Thank you for what you do every day. And the last thing I have is we have been getting some questions about data centers and concerns about data centers that might come to Fairfield or Jefferson County. And I have talked to one of the supervisors, and what I'd like to do is request a joint meeting just so that everybody can have a discussion of, are we okay with that? Are we not okay with that? What kind of ordinances or the county might have to put in place to control such things. From one standpoint, we think, well, we're a little old Jefferson County here in southeast Iowa. Why would they come here? However, there are things to consider, and I think we need to be informed. So what I'd like is next Monday, if it works for you, to have a joint meeting with the supervisors. And by the way, did anybody go to the supervisors meeting this morning? They were supposed to discuss it and see if they were okay with a joint meeting next Monday. So
I went, but I don't know that they discussed it specifically. I never heard the word Monday uttered.
Okay. So I'm gonna temporarily set that for Monday at 7 o'clock. I'm hoping that, we can at least get a quorum. I'll confirm with supervisors. I was also gonna invite all the mayors of the small towns, Libertyville, Packwood, Lockridge, and Pleasant Plain. I think that's all of them. And again, just so everybody's informed. And I know that Taylor Ross has been doing some, and she's here tonight, has been doing some research, and she has some concerns. And if you've seen any videos out there of some communities that do have data centers in their neighborhoods, it does sound problematic. And I know that where my daughter lives, it became a huge issue up in Minnesota, in this small town, so much so that the mayor resigned. So, a lot of controversy, and I think we just need to be informed as citizenry and as elected officials.
For sure, it's not going to be something where if this happens in Jefferson County, they're going to call and say, "Are you guys ready for this?" It doesn't really happen that way.
Yeah.
There's a constituent in my ward Second Ward, Holly Egner, who sent me emails from time to time about this issue from the Des Moines Register and other places. She was alarmed and concerned, and so I read them, and there are other constituents who reached out to me. So that actually does work. So when I've been sort of paying attention to it myself. When I have a constituent also express their concern, then I believe I forwarded an email to the mayor and to a county supervisor. I hope in some small part this had something to do with where we are right now. But it is an issue. It's not an issue until it becomes one. And then when it becomes one, it happens very quickly. So I think the fact that we're in front of it a little bit, maybe we're in front of it a lot, is to the credit of our elected officials, credit of our supervisor and our mayor. So hopefully we'll be able to have a quorum next week and address it and be ready should the issue. It's like an opportunity and a crisis both at the same time. What do you do with it? We like to have something in place or understanding before it comes to us. And I think this will go a long way towards that.
Yeah. So the county doesn't have any building or zoning codes, so, it could be problematic if somebody really wants to take up the issue. So.
Yeah, we wouldn't know.
Can most of you be available next Monday? As far as you know? Okay, so we'll tentatively put that on our calendars. I'll confirm with supervisors, invite the other mayors and confirm with you so we can publicly post it. Okay, so next Monday, 7 o'clock.
Do you know where, Mayor?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah, City Hall. Okay, that's all I have. City Attorney report?
Just a couple things. One, have a concern that something's still going on with the legislature that I've been following all spring. It's a home rule issue, and the legislature won't leave us alone as far as our city home rule, and they're doing it to the counties. Also, the issue came up in the form in the last month or month and a half in Polk County. I don't know if Elizabeth's been following it or not, but the county attorney up there adopted basically a Polk County program to do something about old unwithdrawn warrants. Some of them were 2 or 3 or 4 years old, but what happens if a police officer is in the process of checking somebody, might be as simple as a parking ticket or a speed stop, and they find that person's got an old outstanding warrant, protocol, depending on where you're at, what your jail capacity is and so forth, is to fulfill that warrant, take the person to report to the earliest possible placement in front of a magistrate, but that usually means after they've been jailed. Polk County has thousands of outstanding old warrants, so they're programmed to deal with those in a way that didn't involve jail, and except for the most severe of persons in that old warrant program, most people were brought in, given opportunities to sort out scheduling and go in front of a magistrate if there was still something they could clean up that hadn't been basically ended either by rules and statute of limitations or just way too old by time. That particular program, the legislature, both the Senate and the House, picked up on it and wanted to restrict local prosecutorial discretion as far as management of old warrants, which, I'm a prosecutor, but my cases aren't necessarily the types of cases that Elizabeth's office deals with, but we have old warrants outstanding also. And then we have other kinds of cases called infraction violations, and we have a bunch of those that are old. And I guess my concern is that the legislature leave this to prosecutorial discretion, which according to the state code, that rests in the local county attorney's office, it rests in the local governmental subdivision, it rests in the local cities, but the legislature once again wants to go beyond that and restrict that. So far it's been tabled and sent out of committee, although it has the support of the majority party in both the House and the Senate, because they felt it made sense to go back over and see if there weren't some changes that could be made with the prosecuting attorney in Polk County, as far as maybe putting some conditions and some understandings on exactly who qualifies for that program and who does not. Again, that's the legislature interfering with prosecutorial discretion, which is what I object to and what I think we watch out for in each local subdivision, whether it's city or county. So I'll fill you in on this as it goes. I'm not ready to write a terse letter yet to the state representative or our state senator. I think I have their ear when I need to, but it's one of those things that it's outside of anybody that's telling you that they're very strong supporters of local control. It's just the opposite if they interfere with this and restrict it. So enough about that, but that's been going on about every other week with register reporting, and I'm going to keep my thumb on it. Second thing is, I've talked to Bob Ferguson. I haven't had a chance to talk to Terry Knash yet, but I think we probably need to have a meeting with the Property and Public Safety Committee, and we need to talk about something. I noticed in tonight's agenda we had, I think, 3 liquor license renewals that were part of our consent agenda approval. Our liquor license renewal process is relatively simple most of the time, although it is something that occasionally, as city attorney, I get reports and complaints. We've had several incidents at one of our local licensed establishments where they've had activities going on till the very last minute of closing hour. They've had acts of violence. That's about the only thing the police can do anything about. They've also had acts of vandalism. The establishment itself has had its windows broken out, and people up and down the street in the same neighborhood have had their windows broken. Essentially, my concern is that when the renewal time comes up, it's the only time the city has to really screen whether there is careful enforcement and compliance with the Dram Shop Act, which should be the head note for any renewal of a license. The license itself, you can put as many conditions as you want on it as long as they're constitutionally reasonable and you do it at the right time. Having a license renewal hearing after the police have arrested somebody for a violation at the bar is probably not going to work. The bar's attitude is going to be, you really can't touch our license right now. It's not our fault that somebody got out of line, except depending on what the conditions on your license renewal are and what the maintenance of your license is, it can be their fault. And if they're not enforcing the extent of liquor consumption, if they're not enforcing the activities and the orderliness of what goes on in their establishment, if they're not paying any attention to noise concerns and it becomes neighborhood concerns, and they're not concerned about things that have to do with acts that would be sufficient to cause them probably to be denied their only real liability protection, which is dram shop insurance, then they need to be called on it and they need to be told, maybe you got licensed last time and you feel you're immune from enforcement except for the most violent kinds of occurrences within your establishment. But what I'm going to suggest is the Property Committee and Public Safety Committee make some kind of a list of criteria as possible conditions for renewal. I don't want to put bars in town out of business, and for the most part, this has worked pretty well for the establishments that provide what I will call noise generating entertainment. I think about Cafe Paradiso, they run until about 12 or 12:30, and they have a live mic, and they have a sound stage, and they have entertainment multiple nights. And I haven't ever got a complaint about them being too noisy for the neighborhood. But they and the buildings in that block, just like the buildings across the street going north on Main Street, they have downtown residential tenants. Same way in the block with the Elks. Same way down, actually the buildings up front from Hideaway and so forth. For the limited number of bars we've got in town, they're all in neighborhoods where there are some residential tenants. They chose to live in neighborhoods with bars, but as far as the bars, presuming that you can run a loud, noisy entertainment center until 2 o'clock in the morning is probably pushing the envelope. And it's also something that, as far as the concerns of the neighborhood generally, if all of your neighbors say they're moving out because of the way that's being not managed, that maybe needs to be a criteria as far as the renewal review. So we have a duty to be renewing on the basis of whether they are going to comply with not only dram shop, but also what our expectations are for those kinds of establishments. And we have had some of this before where I've had meetings, for instance, when they put a 10-foot chain link fence with an outdoor band platform over at one of the bars off of Court Street. It took them a summer, basically, to convince them that ending the bandstand at 12:30 at night was probably about as fair a way to treat the residential tenants. Lived in some upstairs apartments and across the street without probably having a group here in the council chambers asking why. And at this point, we're probably going to run into that again pretty soon over on Main Street. And,
So John, why don't we add that to the safety committee? We've got 2 things.
Fine by
Three
me.
is a nice round number.
Yeah.
We'll give them a third topic to discuss.
I want to point out too that when we started talking about this, we were talking about the renewals tonight. The instances he was talking about do not concern any of the ones that were renewed tonight. It's
Right.
none of those
That's true.
establishments.
Yes.
None of those that were
No.
renewed tonight had anything to do with this. But
Yeah,
I've
but it's
had,
probably worth a discussion
yeah, I've had 4 complaints
since
from
we've had some issues.
that neighborhood, and I've had reports of 2 residential tenants moving out, and I think that's unfortunate.
Okay.
So, anyway, enough said on that.
Okay.
Other than that, that's it.
Okay, committee and board reports. Economic Development Committee, do you got anything else?
No, I pretty much
We
covered
pretty
it.
much cover
Yes,
everything,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Personnel,
We have met twice since our last council meeting to discuss the hiring for the chief of police position. The job posting closed and we received applicants. Our first meeting took place on April 29th and all of the committee were present. We talked about establishing a hiring committee and maybe what the next steps would be. We established the hiring committee. Our second meeting, which occurred last week on the 6th, was when we met with the hiring committee for the first time. We went into closed session in order to evaluate the professional competency, or in other words, review the applications. Our next order of business is we're going to be conducting phone interviews on May 27th, and I think the intent is that eventually we will have maybe a couple of candidates and we will actually have them come to Fairfield if they are, and meet them as a whole, and similar to what we did with city administrator, but we haven't solidified those steps. We're just next step, phone interviews.
Great, thank you. And there is an opioid meeting tomorrow morning at 9. You're going to, at our next meeting, report on the opioid committee. what's happening?
I definitely can, yeah. I don't
Yeah.
even know that we're gonna be discussing anything substantive
Yeah.
tomorrow, but
Yeah, okay.
I'm happy to do
Yeah,
that.
just give us an update next round.
Sure.
Because it looks like I'm not gonna make it tomorrow, after all. I thought I was gonna be able to, but it's questionable right now. Okay, administrator department reports. Doug, you wanna?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Want me to go back to that? Okay.
Yeah, you wanna go back to the sign stuff? Okay.
Okay. The work session stuff, Jason. What was on the study session were a few of my thoughts related to some updates needed for outdoor sales and the sign section of the code. The recommended updates are part of Title 20, which is zoning, and typically, well, not typically, those changes always go to Planning and Zoning Commission, but especially with the outdoor sales or the garage sales, that kind of started with this organization or with this body, so I wanted to bring it back to you guys before taking that to Planning and Zoning and see what our thoughts are on those. I guess ultimately tonight is whether you want to refer it to another committee or a study session or continue with the normal process of sending it to the Planning and Zoning Commission. On the outdoor sales, kind of the root of the problem related to outdoor sales in the business districts is that items aren't declared a nuisance until they have been sitting out for 24 hours. And then our peddler permit, or our peddler section does not have any definition or limitations to those outdoor sales. And then I've had, with both this and the signs, I've talked with Main Street, and kind of to further complicate things is there are the areas that we want to limit or maybe discourage some outdoor sales are zoned B1, which is also what our downtown is limited or is zoned, which is an area that we want to promote occasional outdoor sales because that's part of what makes a vibrant downtown. So balancing the size or the timing, how often is going to be the critical part of making this work for the downtown and the other areas that are zoned the B1. One of the things probably the biggest thing that I found common in other cities was better defining the aspects of this, including having a definition for outdoor storage versus outdoor display. So outdoor display might be, I think of the tire shops that have tires stored outside. A customer can go look at them, even though not a lot of people go look at them, or Fairfield Lumber might have some stuff that is outside that customers can look at. It is meant for interaction with the customer, not just storage. And then a definition of those outdoor sales, which is where the money is exchanged outdoors. And then finally, adding in a definition for that sidewalk or sale, sidewalk retailing, or right-of-way retail, making sure that that's specifically adjacent to a retail establishment. So some of the things to consider with this is, are we wanting screening around outdoor storage? Are we talking about new builds from here on out? Are we talking just B1? Are we talking B2? Are we looking into the manufacturing areas? What kind of extent are we wanting? So in the last pages of the memo is different businesses and their zoning and how some of these, how they have either outdoor storage or outdoor sales. Hy-Vee is zoned B1. They have the garden center. Are we going to treat a garden center the same way as we have an outdoor perpetual garage sale? And how do we define the difference between the two? it's harder than you think, because you can't just say, well, we're going to treat Hy-Vee this way, but we're going to treat, another area this way, because they are both outdoor sales. And so I wanted to add that list of those businesses as we start thinking of these rules and getting specific examples. On page 2 and 3 though is what I, again, looking at other cities, started to work on some recommendations, and again, discussing this with Main Street a little bit, is making the areas related to outdoor storage, outdoor display, and outdoor sales relative to the lot size. So if you're Hy-Vee and you have, let's see my example that I put on there, you have a 335,000 square foot lot, you can have a relatively large area for outdoor sales. But if you are a 66 by 66 foot lot, you cannot have a very large area for outdoor sales. Based off of kind of what, again, what other cities typically have in restricting these types of activities, and what I would be proposing here. On page 3, I gave 2 examples based off of those recommendations, that, again, our focus is primarily the B1. So Hy-Vee, 1310 West Burlington, they would meet the outdoor storage requirement, and we, depending on whether we require it to be fenced or not, but they have the correct percentage and meet the setbacks. Their outdoor display, their seasonal stuff that's typically near the front doors, based off of what I have here, they would exceed that. So whether we want to make it solely a percentage or solely a square footage, or how exactly we want to do that, there are, again, some things to think about. But then outdoor sales, again, whether we make it based off of square footage or percentage, maybe it's the minimum, maybe it's, is it the minimum of the 2, or is it one or the other? Their garden space takes up about 9,000 square feet, which is less than 10%. But again, are we only looking at percentage, or are we wanting to look at a square footage limitation as well? 601 West Burlington, which is the northwest corner of 6th and Burlington. It's around an 11,000 square foot lot, so would meet the outdoor storage area. It does not have any outdoor display, and while outdoor sales would still be allowed, it would be limited to around 64 square feet of outdoor sales, which is about the size of 2 clothing racks. So, and would have to go in and out each night. That's one attempt, I guess, at limiting this. We can also add in that the outdoor sales have to be directly related to the business that's there. That's what the sidewalk sales would be, a specification of, it has to be associated with that business that's there. And I just hadn't gotten that far. I'm trying to get this together at the last minute for the meeting. So that's what I have kind of started on outdoor sales. I think that the best way to handle things is through the zoning code rather than the peddler permit section, because of we're looking at, it's primarily the B1 zoning area that we're looking at of addressing some of the issues.
I think we should just bring that back to study session. Okay. Now that they have this documentation, I, read through it, and then we can
please
have some thoughts and go back to discussion and study session.
Please don't correct all of my typos on it. I'm just sitting here beforehand and it's like, oh man.
I think one of the things too is, when you've got a store and you've got outdoor sales, there's sales tax issues. Right? They have to collect sales tax, unless it's food, of course. But, the perpetual garage sale, there's probably, nobody's collecting sales tax. I don't know if that's part of the issue or part of the discussion. Okay. I don't know. So, that's one thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Yeah, so if that's okay, let's just bring this back to study session. Try to do this on the next round.
Yeah, can I go
can.
over the signs real quickly? Because I think
Sure.
that one, there's not as much, maybe discussion, just a fefew things I want to point out that we've been working on. I did not attach it to the document, but the mayor has a copy. It's on our website. I've worked on a 2-page handout, again, to help with Main Street and the efforts that they're making towards downtown signs, kind of simplifying our city code. But there are a few things that have been needed to be addressed with our city code, particularly related to LEDs. At the time our code was written, LEDs didn't exist, so we don't have any specifications related to those. Another thing that came up with the discussion with Main Street was historic signs. We allow historic signs to be preserved, but we don't have a mechanism for restoring them, so putting them back to the way they were. On the electronic signs and LEDs, I don't have specific language here, but looking at, again, a lot of different cities, we'd want to be better define illuminated signs versus electronic signs. A lot of those are defined by the Iowa Administrative Code. Clearly define the what the motion is and how long they hold. Iowa City has had some pushback on what's actually, like, if it's fading, is that considered a new image or not? And so there was some stuff that Iowa City has updated lately regarding their electronic signs. But then the other thing is related to brightness, and you know, we dealt with this with Lincoln Center, and there is a way to measure the brightness levels of signs, and so that is a measurable or measurable item that we can put in there. Right now our code just says that the sign can't be annoying. Really hard for me to enforce, especially because I've got astigmatism in my eyes, and so everything is annoying at night. And so, you know, looking to add some of those brightness levels in there, as well as a performance standard requiring all the signs to have the ability to be dimmed or changed. Again, that if it does become a problem that we don't identify during the permit process, that it can be changed later. On the historic signs, what we're proposing right now, it says that it's supposed to come to the Architectural Review Committee. We would like to speed up that process and create a way for staff to be able to sign off on it at the in the office here. So what I'm proposing, and probably this is the #1 action item, is, or you know, moving forward, some head nods here, even though there's not an action item for you. What I would like to do is change it so that it states historic restoration or reinstalls must include at least one historic photo of the signs dated to the 1965 or older, and include a letter of recommendation from an architect licensed in the state of Iowa, the Fairfield Main Street Board, or the Carnegie Museum Board, recommending that the sign be restored or kept to the quality that's being proposed. So some of that is, you know, on some of the older brick buildings, they have a larger, the area that the sign goes is much larger than what we currently allow, so it would exceed our code, but it would be restoring it to the signage that was similar. And then if it was something that we as staff didn't feel comfortable, there's already a mechanism in our sign ordinance that we can bring it to, I believe it's the property committee, and then to council to continue to review any items. I know we did that with, I believe it was the marquee sign. That again, things that are maybe different or that we don't feel comfortable moving forward with, we still have a mechanism to do it. But by adding this, we can move forward with again some of the stuff that Main Street's trying to do without making sure that we have an architectural review committee, making sure those people know that they're on there, and then getting them to meet to review any of those restorations. So.
Instead of using 1965 or older, would it be easier to use 60 years or older, so it's a floating, because in 20 years, six, you know.
Yeah, I kept 65 because that's what our code had in
Is
it. And I can definitely ask Main Street, but I didn't know if 65 was, if there was something special or if it was like so many, if that date was so many years from when the code was written. So I can check into that specific date.
It's an interesting point.
65 was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's ancient. All right. Thank you for your patience again. Please don't critical my typos.
Okay, lots to think about. All right, city administrator report.
So I'll be extremely brief. I wanted to bring up, I've had some really good conversations over the last 2 weeks in regards to Fairfield Cares. And this is a website. Of course, Fairfield Cares does a lot of helpful things, but one of them is lawn maintenance. And so the Beautification Commission and their volunteers have reached out to them. And as you know, the city goes around during this time of year and enforces yard code violations. And oftentimes we find out that a lot of the yards that the city, once we issue a citation, will go around after that citation about 7 days and mow that yard. And then we bill that property owner, which is something that we don't like to do. We don't like to bill them and we don't like to mow their yard because we would all rather have the street department or other city staff doing what they're supposed to be doing. Fairfield Cares has actually reached out to the city and said, listen, I think we talked about this at the last council meeting, that they're gathering volunteers, that we will put this number and this website somewhere on the material that we're passing out, that these individuals can actually reach out to Fairfield Cares, and they have a group of volunteers that will come and mow their yard and help them out. So it saves them it saves the city some time and frustration. It saves the person that is in code violation. We have to understand that a lot of these yards, it's usually, somebody that's working 2 or 3 jobs and doesn't have time to mow their yard, or it might be a widower or what have you that maybe can't mow their yard or doesn't have the resources. They don't know who to reach out to. So we're going back and forth and we're recommending these groups. They're actually compiling a list and sending people out. And you do have to go and register, but they also actually have a phone number. It's up there at 641-657-4311. And they can make a phone call because they may not be able to go online and fill out an application. But it only takes a few days. And as long as the city has communication with Fairfield Cares that they're coming to mow this particular yard, then we can skip that one and move on. Oftentimes we'll issue a citation and by the time they come around to mow, those yards have been addressed. So it really does, it's a give and take, but we really don't want to, we want to avoid having to go in and mow them and then bill them or assess the property taxes, that sort of thing. So we're really trying to work with these people.
How does that communication flow then? Do you notify the homeowners that they can reach out to the Helpful Village, or are you telling Helpful Village who's been, cited, or how does that work?
Both.
Okay.
And actually I had that conversation today. They came to me and said, hey, can we get a spreadsheet of, violations, which I talked with John and he said, yes, we could do that. And they can reach out to them and say, hey, are you struggling? We're here to help you. And then if we're issuing out a citation, then we can actually put this information on that citation and say, if you need some help, call these people. And then they'll call us and say, listen, we've been in communication, we got their yard, and then we'll just skip them and move on to the ones.
Cool.
We're working. There's going to be some hiccups, but we're trying because we just want compliance. We don't want anything else.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for questions.
Any questions for city administrator? I forgot to mention that there were property tax changes, of course, the last minute of the legislation session, and some TIF changes. I think that's going to be spelled out in your July cityscape, so you might be looking for that. And then our next meeting will be Tuesday, May 26th. It won't be Monday because of Memorial Day, which is a holiday. So the adjournment will be, for the next meeting, we will adjourn until Tuesday, March 26th. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Toohill.
Second.
Second by Esty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Meeting adjourned.